First job when I left school, I was 14, I think, and I got a job being a traveller's assistant, they called it. I used to go round in the truck with the traveller, because I was only 14 or 15, and he used to take the order, the traveller, and I used to be there with him, and I'd go out to the truck and bring the stuff in. That's right. And I did that for 5 years. Well, Caney was on the ice truck with his boss, and they got to this place. They reckon they were faster than one another. So they got to this place where there was two houses about the same, and said, we'll have a race. So they both took off together, and when my brother come out delivering his box, his boss was already out there, and he said to him, how'd you get out so quick? Oh, he said, I haven't delivered it. He said, the bloody ice is still there. He said, what happened? I slipped. And he said, I got to the house, and then with the ice, slipped, slid on the floor. The two old maids lived there, slid on the floor up to the table, and I ended up with my head on the table with the two old maids, and got up and farted and raced out, and he said, well, who won? Yeah. Trying to work out who they say won.
Play goes on again.
I remember seeing the great man himself. It was a young man playing, Ted Whitten.
Swings onto his right foot, but the handball
and Jack Collins and
his teammate running past
all the rest of the side.
And he has a hurried shot
I can't
at goal.
remember their names.
Umpire indicates 1 point on the scoreboard, knocked away there as McGibbon goes up down towards
He was a
Ross,
big boy,
chipping in, trying to pick up the ball.
didn't take any cheek off anyone.
Melbourne play down there in Melbourne. He shoots the ball out this time towards Stewie Spencer, a stab pass by Spencer.
He was just good, and he was good to watch.
Executed in the right way, and Duffy takes the ball away towards the boundary line. You can notice the people are right around the boundary line.
He was only young.
As that new stand was being built, Don Ross gets a hurried kick in once more.
He was only a kid, really.
Away, going through
but I was a kid too.
His brute strength, puts the ball
not
onto
much
his
older.
Jack Collin accidentally puts Arnold.
Well, I went to school with our friends. Now, it must have been about 5 or something. And me and Ronnie Haddon went. Yeah. And he kicked the teacher or something because he didn't want to be separated from us. But he was a bit older. He was a year older, so he had to be, I think. Ronnie Haddon. I don't know. I was friends with them for years. But they shifted, and that's when I lost contact. But, well, they died. Well, I used to see him come home with new things he'd made. What? I don't know.
He used to draw things to scale.
Yeah, he used to. Then he decided, he heard on the news that these jewellers' shops had been getting robbed, and they'd broken the windows to get in. So he says, I'll make up a barrier to stop them breaking the glass. So he started, because it had to be out of stainless steel, and he made up a barrier. So then he had his mate that had weld the stuff together for him and do all the which I didn't know much about. And then he made this barrier up and they tried it, and the only thing they couldn't stop it when they pressed the button to bring the thing down, it wouldn't stop. Only when it crashed at the end or something. Well, this is what I'm told anyhow. So they started working on something to stop it, and he came out and he said, "This'll work."
This was your dad?
This dad, yeah, he said, "I've made up this stoppage thing that'll stop it." And he said, "That won't solve." This bloke, somebody it was, said, "That won't stop it." And he said, "Well, I'll prove it will. I'll bloody lie down underneath it, and if it don't stop, well, it'll probably squash me." And that's what he did, but it stopped. Well, we were all drinking there one day and having a few, and yeah, the girl there, she said, "Oh, do you want to stop for tea?" I said, "Yes." She said, "I've only got some sausages." No, couldn't have said that because she hadn't pinched them then.
Well, she didn't have it.
No, he said, I'll get you some. Something to eat? That's right. She said, "I haven't got anything to eat." He said, "I'll get you something." So he nicked off and he came back with the sausages in the frying pan. He said, "I got your frying pan." I said, "With sausages in it, you can serve them up for tea." So he put them there. There was enough because they're a pretty big family, the one up the road. And that's what he'd done. He'd gone up there. He'd seen them cooking them up there, and he went there, up there. And when they went there, somehow he got in and took off with the sausages. I'd like to try the country life. That's all. And so we moved to Terang. Anyhow, my life as a farmer wasn't very successful.
Why?
Because I knew nothing about it.
Didn't you have pigs and that?
Then I got a job at Cobden Butter Factory, yeah. And one of the farmers I got to know, we're talking one day. I said, "What's that in the back of your car?" And he said, "A pig." He said, "I'm just going to cut it out, cut its head off or something." And he said, "Well, no, why'd you ask?" And I said, "I've always wanted one as a pet." He said, "I've got one at home. It's a runt, and I'll bring it in. You can have it." So he bought in a little pig, about that big. I took it home in the car, and Karen and Debbie they started crying, did they? Because then they'd put it in a pram and dressed it up and wheeled it around the place. You'd know more about it than me.
Now, what was the pig's name?
Big. Didn't have a name. Porky.
So,
Oh, yeah.
tell me about Porky. What happened? How you had Porky for a while, and how did what happened to Porky in the end?
He was eaten. Yeah.
Waiting.
We didn't.
I know that you sold it, so you want to tell me about who you sold it to and the story? I know there's a story.
We
about
didn't
that.
sell it. All right, we sold it. Oh, yeah. What were their names? Who?
The Homans?
Homans.
Yeah, I forget their first names.
Sold it to them and they ate it.
Karen.
And Karen was down there for the weekend, and so she had it too. She didn't know. Yeah, well, Karen said, come home one day and she said, oh, what's the matter? She said, oh, there's this kid at school. She's bloody annoying me and she's arguing with me and fighting with me. And I said to her, well, next time she does that, I said, let her know that you're not frightened of her. And so she came home that night and I said, anything happened? She said, yeah. Said kid came up and started arguing with me and everything. She said, so I went one in the stomach like that, and then I went whoop. She said, she's a good friend of mine now. Yeah, Karen could fight. Lou, which is Jen's dad, and he said, what you want on here is another room. And so he came down and built this room. And he was still down there one day when a mate of mine came down. That right? And he put this big sheets of iron on the roof, and it was pretty windy. And Ray was helping him, me mate. And Lou, who was a bit quick-tempered and didn't care what he said, so he'd say to Ray, that's right, pass me those hammers, that hammer. And Ray had passed him a saw, and he's not the fucking saw, he said, bloody, oh shit, I want a hammer. And that's when Ray handed him the saw, and he'd throw the bloody saw and he'd carry on like a 2-bob watch. Don't you know the bloody difference? He'd say, a bloody saw. See, I get balls up here.
Ray nearly fell off the roof.
And Ray had laughed so much he'd nearly fall off the roof, yeah. We'll go to the drive-in. Yeah, we'll go to the drive-in. So Vera said, yes, I'll go. Yeah, we asked him, of course. But Ted wouldn't go. No, he didn't want to go. Then you chimed in and said, oh, Gordon works at a glass firm. That's right. Well, I was down having one of those good low teas, wasn't I? Yeah. That I had every night. And what happened then? Oh, he started talking about glass, and then he said he was putting his hat and coat on, and he said, oh, I'll go to the drive-in. Because he worked in the glass too. This sounds are just jumbled up. So I had a dozen bottles of beer in the back, and I said to Ted, I said, do you want a drink while we're at the drive-in? He said, oh yeah, I'll have a bit of a drink. I said, oh, it's all right, we don't need any. I've got a dozen in the back, oh, we better get a few more. I was drunk as a monkey. We'd been away, or we'd gone away for a caravan trip. And where we were, the caravan park, wasn't it? And we met these people in the next caravan, and they become good friends, didn't they? Didn't they? And anyhow, we're all sitting there having a beer one night, and another bloke come along. And he joined the group, and hello, you having a talk, were you? And Jim stopped right. He said, yeah, we were talking about pies. Go Art. and it got its name by, we started to brew this brew and we haven't got a name for it, so I said, well, G.O. for Gordon and Ards for Andrew, and joined them together and we called it Go Ards. Good drop too. Took a few bottles up to Townsville, and me and the bloke next door, well, we'd all been out for tea, hadn't we? And yeah, we were nearly running out of beer. I said, well, the only ones I've got left are these we made ourselves. He said, I'll try it. That was Brian. Not to be mixed up with the skinny Brian. It was up there, and he said, oh, I'll try it. Yeah, no worries. So I put a couple in the fridge, or put them all in the fridge, which we each drank. As soon as he had a drink of it, he said, hey, what are you talking about? This is only stuff you made. This is bloody beautiful. And then we got stuck into them and we drank them all. Just walked into the pub and these two wallopers come in and said, right, you're coming with us, get out of here. And they threw me out practically and into the back of the wagon. And it was only over the road. I could have walked. And they said, I've done nothing, I've just knocked off work. I said, oh, shut up. I can remember that. And anyhow, a little bit later, they come and opened the door and said, go on, you can go. And I said, well, wait a sec, no, I want to know why do you want to stay there? I said, I'm going. And I shot off and, yeah. I said an argument with them. No, I said, it's bloody beaut now. The pubs have closed and I can't get a drink. That's right. Yeah, it was 6 o'clock closing. Oh, that's when I used to go out to Fitzroy with Alf. And we got invited out, that's right. We'd been in the Brighton pub talking to this bloke, and he said, do you want a game tonight? And Alf said, yeah, we'll have a game tonight. And gave us an address, and he said, just... yeah, at the baker's, and he said, yeah. And so we drove out there, and anyhow, we got to this place. He said, mention my name. That's all you got to do. And we mentioned his name. And he said, yes, up the end of the passage, on the right or left or something. And we're halfway up there, and he said, oh, if you've got one, leave it here. And Alf says, leave what? Our wallet. And he said, don't worry, I've got money. So I said, yeah, what? And then we looked down, there was about 3 or 4 guns on the table. And he said, if you've got one left, now we knew what he meant. And they said, started shaking. We didn't know. Anyhow, then we tried to lose so we could get out. And we kept on winning. We were winning. And I said, how do we get out? He said, look, I'll soon tell them I've got a bakery to run. So he went up and the bloke said, yeah, no worries, you can go anytime. You can go, as soon as you walk in, you can go. Don't worry about how much you've won. Thing is, we've got a rule here. You can't, once you leave, nobody can leave here for so long after you've left. Nobody can leave. And that's what we did. And we jumped in his car and come home, wad full of money and shaking like shit. we're expecting anything any minute, go bang, bang, say, ow, that hurt. No, yeah, that was good, we won. I'll see you next week. I said, pigs up. Yeah, that was a good night, yeah, we won a lot of money and was scared as hell. Yeah, there's a lot of little bits, and when I started training greyhounds, you know, and had my first winner at Sandown, and that was a bit of a thrill because I did it myself, you know. Even though it wasn't a big race, oh well, a city winner, and yeah, that was good. He won well. He won by 7 lengths. That's funny. His next race, he won by 7 lengths again. Washington. Named after, Mum named him. Oh, 4 o'clock, got up and walked up to, I didn't do it every day, but one day I thought, just kept on, it was a nice morning. I kept on walking and suddenly I saw Springvale pub. I thought, shit, I've walked to Springvale. Well, I don't know where I'd ended it up. Oh, he said, oh, the paper bloke said, oh, this Gordon, he doesn't think much of you as a jockey, Pat. And I said, well, why should I? And he said, Pat Ireland's one of the best jockeys in Australia. I said, he rides a lot of bloody no-hopers. Oh, he said, he said, well, this is Pat Ireland. I said, oh, is it? He said, you must have backed some of me losers. I said, well, you rode enough of them, especially the bars that I backed. And, yeah. To pick up some things in the backyard, and I'd say to Sammy, get the shovel, and he'd go flying around all over the backyard till he found it. He always found it. You could hide it anywhere, but he'd find it. And yeah, oh, he was the most beautiful dog. Yeah, he was. No, he gets to me a bit when I think of Sammy all the time. Yeah. Sarah, I've loved Sarah so much. She is a good kid that, doesn't mind a drink. Occasionally. Well, Christy, I can only think of what beautiful baby she's had. And she's going to have another one. And luckily it'll be a boy. Yeah, Christy, she's dull. They're all see kids, they're especially yours and Julio's and, well, Matthew is, now he's Julio and Karen's boy, and he is just a delight to know. Jen brought up a photo of him when he was only a little tot, and someone fell over, didn't they? Jen?
Yes, it was on Andrew.
Yeah, it was on there. And they fell over and he went straight over to him and said, are you all right? He was that type of kid. He worried about other people, I feel. And I'll tell you what, that's a pretty good way of being. Not worrying part, but being such a kind-hearted person, Matthew. But all of them they're equal. I reckon you'd be hard to tear them apart. They're all sort of like that, I feel. They're caring. Yeah, that's the word. They love other people and genuinely love them, you know. Well, what do you want to know? Amanda, she's a nurse, and an excellent one, I must say. She'd have to be. And yeah, and has her boyfriend. Well, I don't know, a bit more than a boyfriend, I think. But he's a doctor, perfectly matched with Amanda. And Lola, well, she's a gorgeous kid. What do you want to know?
Do you go to any of their games?
Aye?
Do you go to their netball games? Have you been to a netball game with them?
Yeah, I used to go to a net goal banes. What am I trying to say? What can you say about a kid? All of them, they're so nice. Rory. Well, I'll tell you about him. He's a good footballer. He's going to be the best. He'll play for Footscray because he's better than anything else. He can play anywhere. And he'll also let a few adjectives go sometimes if he gets it wrong. He'll say blow. Yeah, be truthful. Don't lie to your kids. Just teach them along the right way. Be the right bloke. Be the right person. Don't be a rat. The secrets of living. Well, you've got to, no matter what good life you do have, you're going to have a hard life somewhere. You'll meet the right people. You'll certainly meet the wrong people. You'll get tied up with things. Yeah, but if you generally take notice, when you've got parents like these kids have got, I think you're doing all right. They'll set you the right way, don't worry. I reckon. You can have a hard life at times. But they've been done what I feel they will be. They'll be all right. You're all right. Well, I hope your life is better, and I hope it turns into a better life. But as I said before, you're being led the right way, and you do your best, what they taught you. I think they'll come out all right. That's what I feel. But it's going to be hard at times. I'm sure of that.